And then, nerds, it's time to wade into the murky depths that is the rumor mill. As per usual, these are to be taken with a gigantic grain of salt. Carry on my wayward son cue music right here, because that's kind of where we're going with this. Seems like the rumor mill is turning a little bit crazy this week. To start things off, we have the Harry Potter confirmations in the confirmations and refutations section. Beyond that, there is chatter about potential issues, cancellation even, if you will, over in the Doctor Who side of the nerddom. And then we have whispers of a potential return of a fan favorite science fiction series that, you know, is based on wormholes and gates of a certain kind. You know where I'm going with this. There's that and quite a bit more. We have a lot to cover in the rumor mill, so let's go.
Maybe. It's classified.
Welcome, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is the reason why I'm convinced most people watch The Week in Nerddom as a whole. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, over on the main channel, Generally Nerdy, this is a small portion of the main show that I do on that channel called The Week in Nerddom. We talk about movie news and gaming news and comic books and so on and so forth. And we talk about the rumor mill as well, which, you know, that's why you tuned in, because you want to hear all of the juicy gossip as to what's going to be happening in the pop culture sphere of things, comic book movies, comic books, etc., etc. We get into every aspect of the nerddom here as it pertains to what is rumored to be happening, or we're going to kill some rumors, or we're going to shoot some stuff down based on the weakness of the person who is leaking the information, the rumor monger, if you will. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump into the rumor mill, shall we? Confirmations, refutations. We don't always have confirmations, refutations, but when we do, they're kind of epic. So this week, the confirmation that we have is the Harry Potter cast. I almost said Harry Past. Harry Potter cast confirmations. We now know for absolute certain that John Lithgow is going to play Dumbledore. That was the one that we knew before, but so that's not really that news. But Paapa Essiedu, who will in fact be playing Severus Snape. That was very much a rumor before. We now know it to be absolute fact. And McTeer as Professor McGonagall, plus Nick Frost apparently finalized that contract and is going to be playing Hagrid. We know these to be the case. Beyond that, I don't know that anybody really cares much about them. Well, no, we don't know who's going to be playing Harry, Ron, or Hermione, so there's still going to be some surprises here. We'll be keeping tabs. Let's move on. We have a new source. One for an old rumor. So new sources for old rumors is Killer Klowns from Outer Space, the reboot movie. The rumor now has it that Ryan Gosling and his production company are the ones who are going to be producing this movie. I was unable to confirm this as news from any, even the trades aren't necessarily talking about this. This is just a rumor going around. So, but this is just an updated rumor for the fact that Killer Klowns is even getting a reboot, because we don't know that for certain either. So, or do we? I don't know. It's there's something in the back of my brain saying that maybe we have actually talked about that being actual fact at this point. Either way, the rumor is Ryan Gosling's production company is going to be producing it. Don't know that for certain. It's a news source. We're not going to be talking about percentage-wise. Let's get to the actual new rumors so we can talk about those percentages. So first up in new rumors is Doctor Who is getting canceled. That's strong language. That's not exactly the way this is going. So after the numbers came out, we talked about those last week. It seems that there are now a number of different rumors around the cancellation of the current state of Doctor Who. We know that they are going on a hiatus. The hiatus has not been made known as to the length of which we're going to be waiting for new Doctor Who content. We also have heard rumor about the current Doctor, what's his name? Ncuti Gatwa, who is playing the Doctor right now. We've heard rumor about him wanting to be no longer attached to Doctor Who. We also are hearing that Disney is reportedly demanding a new showrunner for the show because it's doing so poorly since they bought it. Surprise, surprise. Also, current showrunner Russel T Davies is the one that has kind of told us that we're going on hiatus. So it seems Doctor Who will never 100% be canceled. It is too popular of a franchise to be gone for good. And especially considering that they've written in a way to reboot the franchise every so many years. So the more likely thing here is that it is just getting shelved for maybe a year or so, or maybe a little bit longer, who knows. And then it's going to come back in a different iteration with a different showrunner and a different star. That, I think, is the more likely version of this story, if you kind of cobble together all of the different rumors, and that's the one that makes the most sense. Even then, though, we're only looking at about a 60% likelihood that we will be seeing it happen that way. I think they're going to get Ncuti. I think they're going to get him to finish his contract. They're not just going to let him up. Disney's not going to just let you out of your contract. They're going to make you do better and then fire your ass. No, I don't think they're going to fire him. I think they're going to hold him to his contract. Once his contract is up, then we'll get a new doctor, and then things will start to correct themselves, it would seem. So again, 60% likely that it is going to happen in the way that we just laid out. From there, let's talk about the Tomb Raider series over at Amazon Prime. So reportedly, Tomb Raider is also canceled. Also, this is related to another story that we've talked about, the fact that Jennifer Salk is no longer working at Amazon. She was set to be a producer, or the producer, on the show. The showrunner was set to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge. The rumor goes on to say that she has been demoted, whatever the hell that means. It's not like she was a direct employee. She's not under contract with Amazon outside of the fact that she was writing the show for them. Like, I don't think she has like a first option contract with Amazon. I'm pretty sure she was contracted to do this show, no longer interested in her input, so that would imply that she's fired, right? This is another situation where I think saying the show has been canceled is a bit harsh on the language, because Tomb Raider, once again, is one of those properties that is so large, there's always going to be fan interest. So it's never going to be fully canceled. It's just going to be, this iteration is no longer happening. We're going to change gears and do a more appropriate iteration. So canceled, maybe not. Will we see the Phoebe Waller-Bridge version of this? I'm doubtful. But there's honestly so much that could go either way. So much that this rumor is relying on us kind of just assuming is going on behind the scenes. I can't really give it too much, and it's not coming from super great sources. So we're just gonna go right up the middle with this one. It's neither super likely nor super unlikely. 50% that the current iteration of Tomb Raider is dead in the water over at Amazon. From there, we have a Stargate rumor. This one also related to Jennifer Salk's ousting. New Stargate show is reportedly in the works, because Salk was the biggest issue with it not happening. When Amazon bought MGM and James Bond, they also, one of the biggest properties, one that they named by name when they made the announcement that they were going to be making the purchase, was Stargate. Salk was not happy with the idea of doing a Stargate show. Now that she's gone, reportedly, a Stargate show is in the works. This, depending on which rumor monger you're listening to, is being billed as either a reboot of the entire franchise, which I highly doubt they would do, or it is being billed as a continuation of the franchise, which seems more likely, seems more in the vein of the way this franchise works. So going on that, I'm going to say we're looking at about 70% likely. Very explicitly, because this comes from a pretty decent source, but more specific even is that this was dropped by name by Amazon themselves when they made that purchase. So of course they would be excited to put something out there that they know has a giant fan base. So 70% likely that we're going to be seeing Stargate sooner rather than later over at Amazon. Now let's switch gears for a minute now and talk about some video game rumors. First up, we have PlayStation. This is a console rumor, so not as reliable as our gaming, like game-related rumors, but still, PlayStation, the big rumor here is the next generation console, which everyone is working on at this point because we were kind of nearing the end of a generation. Fairly close, which is weird to consider because I don't feel like my Xbox Series is that old at this point, but we are getting near the end of the generation. So PlayStation, big rumor here is that their next generation of consoles is going to be two-tiered. Not exactly the biggest news. It is, though, going to be different than the last two generations in that the lower tier is going to attempt to take a little bite out of the market that Nintendo has created with the hybrid console. Reportedly, the lower end version of the PlayStation 6 is going to be a handheld console, much like the Nintendo Switch. And then the higher end version is going to be the more traditional side of, you know, an actual leave it connected to your television kind of console. This, I mean, it has been some time since someone truly challenged Nintendo. The last time someone even attempted to challenge Nintendo, it was Sony then. It seems to be going to be Sony now. Also, gaming rumors just generally have a lot of momentum by the time they get out there. So that's why we're going as high as we are. I think this is being a little bit kind of risky when we go this high for this, but I'm saying about 70% likely that the next generation PlayStation console will be, the lower end will be a handheld and the higher end will be a traditional console. Again, staying with the gaming rumors, we now have word that the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders are going live fairly soon. How soon? The 23rd, it would seem. Some Canadian retailers who Canada's supply of Nintendo Switch 2s is directly related to the North American US supply of Nintendo Switch 2s. We'll get to that in a moment. But some Canadian retailers are listing the 23rd of April, forgot what month we were in, 23rd of April as the date that the pre-orders are going to be going live. Since that is apparently the case, then that would lend one to believe that it also is going to be the same in the US, because all of the Switch 2 consoles that are going to be making their way into Canada are going to be funneled through the US, because that's the way they consolidate their shipping. There's a consolidation company apparently in Washington somewhere, Seattle, I believe I've heard. And that's, so they ship all of their consoles basically for North America to Seattle, and then from Seattle they're dispersed through Canada and the US, and I think maybe Mexico, but that has not been part of this story at all. So yeah, that is the disbursement point through which Nintendo goes through. So if Canada says the 23rd is the day, then it's very likely that the US is going to be the 23rd as well. So we're going to say about 90% likely that we will be able to pre-order Switch 2s on the 23rd of April. Staying again in the rumor mill, Fortnite leaks. I put leaks in the rumor mill because usually leaks can go either way. With Fortnite, it seems like it's just somebody gets a little bit excited and starts sharing information early. So that, I think this is just kind of in that vein. We have leaked crossovers with a bunch of different properties. I think is a strong word considering who the first one is, but we're gonna say properties. Jack Black is going to be in Fortnite. Not Jack Black as Steve from Minecraft, but Jack Black, just Jack. He's going to be a crossover. We have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater crossovers. I heard from different sources. One source said that it was going to just be Tony Hawk. Another source implied that it's going to be multiple skaters from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater franchise. And then it went on to say that it is going to be there's going to be a special Tony Hawk event in Fortnite that is correlated to the release of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 that is going to be coming out later this year, if memory serves correctly. But that's not it. We have more Mortal Kombat characters. The first leak that I saw for this specifically, that name dropped Mortal Kombat, had a picture of Shang Tsung specifically. Seems to imply that it's going to be more villainous characters this time around, if not just Shang. Death Stranding 2 also going to have an event, reportedly when that game launches is when we're going to see the crossover there. We have more Marvel crossovers. We have a Double Dragon crossover that got leaked. Doom the Dark Ages crossover, which Doom Guy in Fortnite, that's kind of awesome. So you can legit do Doom Guy versus Master Chief in Fortnite. That's, yeah. Hitman crossover, which we're going to talk about the implications for that one in just a minute. Kingdom Come Deliverance, and NBA players over in Fortnite. So this is kind of an extension of the idea of Fortnite as platform more than it is a game where you can go developers develop games inside of Fortnite, or even like concert experiences and so on and so forth. So what was it? It was Double Dragon and Hitman. Double Dragon has a side-scroller beat-em-up game coming out, so that's probably the cross-promotion there. But Hitman, to my understanding, has not really been in the gaming conversation for a little while now. So I feel like these Fortnite leaks, because they happen with some regularity, they're almost an indication of things to come as far as like what's in development for other gaming publishers and developers and such. I'm very likely missing it because Hitman is not really a franchise we talk about in gaming much, even when it is in the news. So I very likely am just missing something here. But this is a really interesting way to get knowledge of future things, which I think is also factoring in because we have more Mortal Kombat crossover information. I think that's factoring into Mortal Kombat rumor we're about to talk about. So yeah, it's more of a announcing cross promotion because there's going to be an event with said IP. If that IP has been kind of laying low for a while, we know they're actually cooking something. So it's pretty interesting. I honestly think that all of these are, because they're all from the regular sources for these leaks, very likely to be happening. So we're going to say about 90% likely that incredible list of crossovers is accurate. I really have no reason to believe otherwise. Speaking of very likely gaming rumors, we have two more gaming rumors, but one more that is super, super likely, and that is Fallout 3. The remaster for Fallout 3. We now know Oblivion is actually a lot closer than we anticipated, but we'll talk about that probably not next week. It's not going to be a show next week, but next time we have an episode, there will be stuff. I have to dig a little bit deeper before we can really talk about that. But Fallout 3, we have a leaker coming out and saying that the remake is a long way off, and that's only a minor paraphrase. This adds up in so many ways because Bethesda is more than just stretched thin. They're basically damn near breaking from the stretch they're undergoing right now. They're working on the Oblivion. I think that one's actually being farmed out, but still, they're overseeing the Oblivion remake. They're working on Starfield, fixing it, and also the new game. They're also working on to some degree, they're working on Fallout 5. There's a team actively working on Fallout 76. We have the next Elder Scrolls game that they've been teasing for some time, there's probably the most attention is being paid there. So all of these projects that are going on under the hood over at Bethesda doesn't leave a whole lot of room for Fallout 3. Eventually, we will very likely see it. It's gonna be a number of years, probably like 5 more years would be my guess before we see Fallout 3. So the fact that this is a rumor is kind of silly, but we're gonna say 95% likely that it is going to be a long time before we see Fallout 3 remastered. And then our final gaming rumor, there's more rumors, but this final gaming rumor is Combat Pack 3 for Mortal Kombat 1 is now being rumored to actually be happening, whereas up until now it's been rumored to be the end of Mortal Kombat 1 and we're moving into the next age of whatever NetherRealm is cooking up. I misspoke. It's not Combat Pack 3, it's going to be the next story mode DLC. Combat Pack 3 would imply 6 playable characters. I don't think it's going to be that big, though I do think there's going to be a less substantial, though still story DLC for the game. We're going to put this, and this is variations of this rumor have come out from a number of different sources, none of which are the regular sources. So we can't go as high as I want to. And even the 80% that we're putting this at, I think is a little bit high. I think there's still a stronger chance that it won't happen. I honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, I would probably put this just over halfway. But it's Mortal Kombat and I'm super hopeful, so 80%. But then we have one more rumor, not gaming related. It's always sunny in Philadelphia related. There is a rumor that Brad Pitt is going to find his way into a guest spot in the next season, season 17 over on Brad Pitt on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This, surprisingly, there's a pretty decent chance this actually will happen because Rob McElhenney, or Mac on the show, has weird connections, and like, it's really not that many degrees of separation to go from Rob to Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt has an amazing sense of humor, so like, sure. This does not come from a great source. This again is probably just a lot of wishful thinking, which is why we went as high as we did, but man, I really feel like it's not very hard to get all of those planets to align to get Brad Pitt onto It's Always Sunny. So we're going to say about 75% likely that we will at least get some sort of cameo from Brad Pitt in season 17. Maybe it might take another season to be season 18, but still within the next 2 seasons, I'm super convinced that we will get some sort of Brad Pitt on the screen in It's Always Sunny. So that's what we got for our rumors. Let's All right, nerds, before we go any further, as per usual, this is the season of the merch push. So go check out the link in the description and you can get yourself one of these gaming nerd shirts. This is the special shirt for the month. It is going to be active for at least 2 weeks. It did take me a couple of days longer. It literally took me like a day and a half longer to get up than anticipated. So it didn't go up until Wednesday when it was supposed to go up on Monday, but you know, things happen. So yes, gaming nerd, your specialty nerd, I think I'm calling them the special nerd shirts. So that's the month of April is this special gaming nerd shirt. I'm pretty proud of this design, not gonna lie. It's more than just the t-shirt like we have on the other ones. We also have the hoodie, we have stickers, we have a coffee mug, there's a metal water bottle so you can put your DUBBY in it and, you know, use that as it's not a great shaker bottle, but it works. So go check out the Generally Nerdy store, linked down in the description, so you can get your specialty deal. I will be running a coupon code. Hopefully I will have that ready by the time I'm editing this so I can put it on the screen. Otherwise we'll just talk about it next week. Either way, go get your special nerd gaming nerd shirt. Yeah, this is new territory for me in the designing of things, and I'm having fun with it. So go check it out, go get something while you're at the store, and let's get back to the show. Talk now about some speculation going on in the rumor mill. So I have 2 pieces of speculation that I want to talk about. First up is the Fantastic Four First Steps. I talked about at the beginning of the year when I did the predictions for the year, how I thought that Fantastic Four was going to be kind of mid and underperform expectations. Maybe not lose money, but definitely underperform. I think that now at this point it's borderline going to lose money. We have heard a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. We also have some information from Deadline about how they're going to be updating the story for quote unquote modern audiences. I think we are witnessing the remnants of the poor decision making of the last 8 years or so. And this is going to, more than underperform, is going to be actively not good and is going to actively, I still think it might break even. I'm not going to say it's going to lose money just yet, but before I thought maybe they would make a little bit. Now I think they're going to barely break even with the Fantastic Four movie. So that's kind of where I'm at there. And then our other piece of speculation for this episode is Mortal Kombat 1. Just to kind of expand on the rumors that we've got, I do think that we're going to be getting a story mode DLC just because we've got indications from Ed Boon throughout the entirety of this. He's never once fed into the idea that Combat Pack 3 was not going to be happening, or some sort of expansion beyond what we already have is not going to be happening. He's definitely never leaned into that. He's always leaned into this is going to get more support than previous games. There was a little rocky bit there for a while, I'm not gonna lie, as far as the situation with Warner Brothers and WB Discovery, but the big heads over at WB Discovery came out and said that Mortal Kombat was one of the franchises that they wanted to lean into because it was one of the few that was actively making them money. With development for a brand new game some years away for NetherRealm, it would make sense that now that they've got this reinvigorated support from the upper-ups. We have the Fortnite stuff that I'm sure did very well for them. We have the new movie coming out, so they're going to be selling a bunch of skins. They released the MKX Scorpion and Sub-Zero skins, which I'm sure made them quite a bit of money. There's been a number of things that have just kind of went fairly well to their advantage very recently, since that Rocky bit happened a couple of months ago, or a few months ago at this point. So I think there's going to be some sort of expansion beyond what we currently have, beyond the Chaos Reigns expansion. I honestly think it's going to be a bit smaller than Chaos Reigns, but it is only going to be Mortal Kombat characters. We're looking at, I'm assuming, I'm speculating that there's going to be 3 Mortal Kombat characters from previous rosters. I don't think they're going to introduce any new characters, but I also don't think there's going to be any more cameo character, or any more guest characters, I should say. There's definitely likelihood that they're going to be introducing at least one more cameo character as well. Who that could be, I don't know. Kai, maybe. But really, the big thing here is I think we're getting 3 more characters before they move on to the next game. There's reason to believe the next game will be Injustice, but there's a lot of people out there who are thinking it's going to be the sequel to Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not ready to speculate on that one just yet, but I do think we're going to be seeing a little bit more support for MK1 before it gets to the end. And that's what we got for Speculation Nerds. That's also kind of the end of the rumor mill. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.